At 6:48 a.m., a pale fog hugged the edge of Kubinka Air Base, just west of Moscow. The stillness shattered as 6 Russian M-28 gunships and Su-34 strike jets thundered in, unleashing a storm of rockets at what appeared to be a Ukrainian tank column. But there were no tanks, only heat signatures projected by Rattle-S drones. In less than 60 seconds, millions of rubles of Russian firepower vanished into a digital illusion. Ukraine had tricked one of Russia's most secure military sites. The real assault was only beginning. Scene 1. The drone deception. Moments later, a swarm of Ukrainian reconnaissance drones swept in low over the base. Lele 100s, Spectator M1s, and loitering Punisher units gliding silently under radar cover. Their mission: locate Russia's communication hubs and blind the air defenses before a single shell was fired. Within minutes, micro-explosions rippled across Kubinka's southern depot as relay trucks, antennas, and mobile radar towers were shredded. Then came a new wave, electronic fog rolling across the base from jammers hidden in nearby woods. Kubinka's radar went dark. For the first time in its history, the heart of Russia's air defense network was flying blind. Scene 2. The ground assault. Out of the mist, 6 Ukrainian PT-91 tanks surged forward, flanked by Rattle-S unmanned ground vehicles. The drones swept for mines and deployed smoke, guiding the armored column through the chaos. Russian defenders scrambled. Boomerang IFVs and T-80 BVM tanks rolled from behind museum walls, where Soviet-era exhibits once stood, and used underground tunnels to flank the Ukrainian spearhead. The battlefield transformed into a maze of fire. Shells exploded between rusted World War II armor and Cold War relics. Amid the chaos, a single Ukrainian tank pivoted behind a wrecked IS-2 exhibit and took out a boomerang in one precise shot. Within 11 minutes, Ukraine had punched a hole through Kubinka's southeast quadrant. 50 miles west, 2 HIMARS launchers came online. Their guided rockets soared toward Kubinka's eastern bunkers, where radar nodes, Iskander missile trucks, and fuel stores were hidden. The impacts were devastating. One warehouse ignited like a volcano. Another bunker collapsed inward, crushing its crew. Kubinka's power grid failed. Command channels went silent. And then came the aerial assault. 4 Su-25 skimmed treetop level, dropping laser-guided bombs on surveillance towers and perimeter sensors. The once fortified base was crumbling into static and smoke. Desperate Russian operators fired Buk M2 missiles and launched Iskander M strikes at phantom targets, but the radar images were false. Ukrainian decoy drones and radar-absorbing smoke had turned the base into a hall of mirrors. Each Russian missile detonated harmlessly in empty fields. On the ground, Ukrainian infantry advanced under cover of smoke, guided by crawling scout robots, tiny machines feeding thermal images from underground corridors. Russian marker UGVs and BTR-82s counterattacked near the museum's east wing, but FPV kamikaze drones tore through them like hornets, exploding on impact. Within minutes, Kubinka's defenders were forced into retreat, their command systems severed. Scene 5. The kill strike. Hidden beneath a grassy rise, Ukraine located the Eastern Coordination Node, Kubinka's underground command bunker. A high-altitude UJ-26 UAV released a single glide bomb through its ventilation shaft. The warhead punched deep and detonated directly above the relay room. Instant blackout. Kubinka's operational nerve was dead. Moments later, 6 miles north, a rail line erupted. Charges planted earlier by Ukrainian saboteurs destroyed an incoming supply train. The message was clear: Kubinka was no longer a functioning base. It was a tomb of burning steel. Transition The fire spread south, but the war was not finished. At 4:17 a.m., hundreds of miles away, the skies above Saki Air Base in Crimea erupted. A swarm of Ukrainian drones plunged through Russia's layered defenses. Panzer's S-1 fired blindly. S-400s launched interceptors, but the sheer volume overwhelmed them. Fuel depots ignited. 5 Su-37 fighters were reduced to molten wreckage within 3 minutes. Russian MiG-29s scrambled to intercept, but Ukrainian jets met them head-on. Above the burning base, dogfights ripped across the dawn sky, while Patriot systems locked onto any Russian aircraft that dared cross the line. For the first time, Crimea's skies no longer belonged to Moscow. Far below, in the Black Sea, a Russian submarine surfaced and fired cruise missiles toward Ukraine's supply lines, an attempt to cut off the offensive. But Kyiv's response came fast. A swarm of unmanned surface vessels raced across the waves, each loaded with explosives. One struck a Russian corvette broadside, tearing it in half. Another exploded beneath a frigate's hull. The Black Sea itself became a weapon, fast, silent, and unstoppable. Scene 7. The final wave. Back at Saki, Russia tried to rearm its S-400 systems, desperate to regain control. But Ukraine's electronic jammers blanketed the spectrum, turning radars into static. Then came the final blow. A barrage of long-range rockets streaked through the night, hammering the munitions depots. The entire base erupted into a rolling inferno. Warehouses, hangars, and fuel trucks exploding one after another. Within an hour, Saki ceased to exist. Scene 8. The strike on Moscow. In the wake of the chaos, Ukraine executed its boldest move yet. A long-range missile struck deep inside Moscow, hitting the Russian Ministry of Defense. The explosion shattered windows across the district and shocked Kremlin leadership to its core. For the first time since the war began, the capital itself was touched by fire. Kubinka lay silent, Saki burned, and Moscow trembled. Ukraine had demonstrated a terrifying truth. Modern war isn't fought by numbers, but by intelligence, precision, and timing. 3 bases falling, 1 empire shaken. As dawn broke over the ruins of Kubinka, a lone drone hovered above a burned-out tank. On its fuselage, someone had painted 6 words: "We study the past to rewrite the future." Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Was this the turning point, or just the beginning of something far greater?